Welcome to Coffee, Cookies, and Books. I'm Judy, and I'm here today to share my TBR for REALMATHON 4.0. So hopefully you'll stick around and see what I'm going to be reading. It's going to be a full and crazy month of March. Hello again. So great to see you. Hopefully you've joined me because you want to hear what I'm going to read in the month of March. Now, March is going to be an interesting month because I am going to participate in REALMATHON 4.0. Now, I have never done anything like this before, and so this is going to be really new. Okay, I can't wait to give it a try. I am still going to fit in all the books I have planned for my challenges in what I'm going to read for REALMATHON. So I have not shirked from my duties as far as my my actual challenge plans are. Now, the only thing that I might wait till the end of the month is to see exactly what I have read and apply it against the bingo challenge that I have. So this is, I'm going to put it up right here. These are the books and the slots that are already taken that I've completed. So I still have quite a few prompts, obviously, left to go. But I really won't know what to fit in there until I know what I've actually read for the month of March, because March is going to be not as solid a TBR as what I usually do. Usually I pick and I read exactly what I've picked. And in the case of March, there could be some swapping around and things I don't necessarily do, that kind of thing. So I just kind of wanted to start with that. REALMATHON 4.0, which I'm going to put up here. It was created by Covers with Cassidy. Follow her channel a lot, and I am part of the Monarch group. You can still join. This video is going up on February 27th, so you still have a couple of days before March 1st, but hopefully you've already planned this out. I did mention the REALMATHON in my previous video that went up on the 17th, so hopefully, you know, a few of you have decided that you'd really like to participate. I think it's a bit of an undertaking, but, you know, I love to read. I do read a good collection of books, usually a month, 10 a month, including digital and in print. In this particular case, I have a lot more than 10 a month planned, but it's because I may want to swap out. So how I've structured this, I'm going to put, I'll put it up, I guess, on this side because my computer's over here. So this is the list that I have created. I've created a spreadsheet for myself because you do have to keep track of your points for certain prompts that you have. Now, so what I have is I have separated my books into categories. So I have Priority Reads 1, and I have those selection, and Priority Reads 2. Now, those two groups, those are my two main groups, okay? Those likely will for sure get read. Now, then I have a third priority set, which is two larger books that are part of my 25 Reads in 2025. So they're books that I have on my, that I want to get finished in 2025. And I made this list, which I'll link the video for that below. I did that, I think, in December. I did that list, I think. And I've gotten through, you know, a fair number. And in actual fact, a lot of the books that I have picked that are going on this are from my BuzzRead challenges and from the 25 and 2025. So I will explain that when we go through the books. Then we have in the middle of the month of March, she has set a readathon, and it is over the weekend. And the idea is to cram as many books as you can. You get extra points for the number of books you can read. So I have set quite a few. I've obviously more than I can read, but wanted to give myself a little bit of flexibility on what I want to read, maybe in there. And they're all like, you know, in around the 300 page, except for a couple that are really small. And I'll explain why I may not read those. There is a reason I may not read those, and I may just stick with the other ones. 300 page books don't take me very long to read. So hopefully I can get through those. You know, like typically if I was reading like I read at night, which is just a couple of hours a night, I can get through a 300 page book in 2 days. But if I'm going to do it as a readathon, which means that I'm going to be reading pretty much almost nonstop from the evening of the Friday, which I think is the 15th or 16th, I think. I'm not really sure. I can't remember exactly what the dates are. 14th. So it is the 14th. So from the night of the 14th right through to the end of the day, the evening of the Sunday, I think. So anyways, you get extra points for how many books you can fit in. So I'm hoping that I can fit in quite a few more. But obviously, I've given myself a little bit of wiggle room on what I want to read. And then I have a few that I have set that I might want to swap. So maybe I decide that I want to read these. It's just 3 particular books. If I have time, they'll slot in, or maybe they might take the place of the priority 3 reads that are on there. And those I've written on the list as the other possible selects. So you can see them all in order on what that I've done. And then last is my Kindle reads. I don't include those in my print book reads because my Kindle reads I read alongside my print books. So those, like on the readathon weekend, probably wouldn't read them at all because I'm going to be concentrating on how many print books I can get done. But with the readathon books, you know, you still get the same points. You still have, they're still eligible for the same prompts. In this particular case, I don't own them, so I don't get points for owning them. But, you know, you still get all of the same points, which is great. But I like to read those kind of in conjunction with my print books, and it gives me a tiny little bit of a break. Now, typically I read those at times when, you know, like say at night, I want to turn the lights off, want to relax in bed. Reading a print book is just not feasible. So, you know, I'll pull up my mini iPad and I'll turn on Kindle, and that's when I do my reading. So I always like to have a selection of those. So I've picked 4, and they're all part of my Kindle Unlimited selection. So they're actually on that list that I've been trying to get through. So I have those 2. So we're going to go through all of these, okay? Now, I'm not going to go into any major description on all of these books. I'm just basically going to state, you know, what the books are, where they are in the challenge, and what they mean to me if I have other challenges that they're tied into. Okay? All right. So we're going to start with my priority 1 reads, which there are 3 of them. Okay. So the first one is one that I've been wanting to get to for quite some time. I put it on my 25 in 2025, and it is also on one of my buzzword reading challenges for March anyway. So this was an absolute must. It's 332 pages, so I get a 20-point extras for the amount of pages in every book. So it's on like a sort of graded scale, you know, 1 to 200, 200 to 400, 400 to 600, like that kind of thing. So this will be the first book I read, absolute must. can't wait to get to this one. This, of course, is Shops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. And this is the prequel to the previous one that he wrote. And do you think I can remember Legends and Lattes? It's just like right over my head. Okay, so anyways, that's the first book that I will be reading in March. Okay, second book that I'll be reading in March is the second in the series for The Expanse. First book was Leviathan Wakes. It was an absolute 5-star, one of my favorite books for 2024. And so this is the next book in the series. And this one is 611 pages, so I get a 60-point bonus for this one, which is fantastic. So this one is on my buzzword, the buzzword cover challenge. And so that, but it's also my 25 in 2025. So it hits 2 challenges, just like Bookshops and Bone Dusts do. So I'm really excited to read this one. Yeah, like I can't wait to get into this one. So this is going to be a really good read. And that's a good sci-fi read. Then on the fantasy side, I have Death by Fire by S.C. Muir. Now, this is my Buzzword June cover challenge. So this is on the Buzzword challenge, but it is for June. So it's going to get read a little bit early. That's fine. This one was recommended by actually my group host, which I'm on the Monarchs group, and one of my hosts is Bree from Four Paws in a Book, and she recommended this book. This is one of her 5 stars for 2024, which I get bonus points for that, but I also thought it sounded fantastic, and it's a fantasy, romantasy maybe. Little bit. It doesn't sound like it's a huge romantasy, but it does have elements of that. So anyways, so that's next on the list. So those 3 are top priority for me. Okay, so that's my first list. Then I have my second list, which the likelihood is that the first 3 and these 3 will 100% get read. Now, outside of Caliban's War, they're all short books, and I can get through short books really fast. So that's why I have secondary books chosen. Okay, but these are still my priority. All right, so first one is A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young, and this one is my other Buzzword March challenge. Okay, so the first one was Bookshops and Bone Dust. That was the cover challenge. This one is the reading challenge. So I think it had to have the word things in it, I think was the prompt on that one. So anyways, this one will absolutely get read, but it is in the secondary list. But the secondary list is still, I just kind of grouped them together in the priority I was going to read them in. And but this one is absolutely going to get read. Okay, then the next one is Hitchcock Hotel by Stephanie Roable. Now this one is in my 25 for 2025. I had selected this one as one of my thriller options because I really liked the sound of it. So, and again, not a super long book, only 338 pages. So I should get through it pretty quick. It looks like it's actually quite an easy read. So that's why I put this one on the list. Thought it would be a great choice. And then another one is, now this is from the Buzzword Reading Challenge. It had to have, I think, 2 on the cover. So it's a how-to. So that was why I picked this one. And it's How to Survive Your Murder by Daniel Valentine. So again, another one that hits one of my own challenges, but it'll work really great for this. Okay, So those ones are my main reads. So now we get into the ones that I'm going to pull in once I get through those, which March is a long month. March is 31 days. And I mean, outside of pulling out the days that I'm going to have, that I'm going to be reading the readathon part for that one weekend, I'm still going to get through these books pretty quick. So I've added 2. Now, one is very long. Well, actually, they're both long. One is a romance, and one is it's a fantasy with a romance in it. I would say that the Kindred Curse Saga, this is book 3, Heat of the Everflame. I've read the first 2. Second book was, like, again, another one of my favorites from 2024. This book is really super long. It's 761 pages. I put a poll up in the Discord channel, and this one got picked. Not by close. It was really close between this one and the final book 3 of the Crescent City. So I have Crescent City. It's kind of like, you'll see. Anyways, so this one is a potential that I will read once I finish the other 6 books, the first 6 books that we went over. Okay, so I'm excited to get to this one, but it's a big read. So it's a big commitment. So I may not. And the only reason that I may not is because I want to finish as many books, but I don't want to start one that I can't finish, if that makes sense. So this one might go in instead, although as a romance, this is 600 pages, which I think is insane for a romance. But romances read pretty fast. In my opinion, they read pretty fast. So we will see where I go with it. I mean, I may end up reading both. You never know. Or I may end up substituting something different. So we'll see. Okay. So then we have the ones that I am potentially going to read for the readathon. Now, as I mentioned, all of these are really short books. The last 2 are both novellas, but they're a series. But I might not read them because they don't garner me any points for reading them outside of the 10 points. So I don't get any bonuses for the number of pages because they are too short. Okay? And because they're too short, you don't get a page bonus for them. So I put them at the end of the readathon because you do get the extra 10 points for every book that you read. So I might. But what I've done is, like I said, most of these are between 3 to 350 pages. One of them's a little bit longer. I don't know if I'm going to read it or not, but we shall see. So the first book is The Serial Killer Guide to San Francisco. So this is a mystery book by Michelle Chouinard, and love the sound of this book. Now, I did want to mention, none of these books are in any of my other challenges. So they're not on 2025. These are all just books that I've randomly picked from my library that are on the shorter side that I want to read. So that's how I chose these. And I chose kind of a variety, I would say, of books. So this one's the first one. I loved the sound of this one. I can't remember who recommended this one. It might have been Audrey from Chapter and Converse, because she's the one that I get a lot of my mystery and thriller recommendations from. And she might have read this one, but I thought it sounded like a hoot, because it is kind of like a bit of a comedy in there as well. So, but it is a mystery too. And of course it has a knife. So that means it's got to be, somebody dies in the book. So there's that one. Okay. Then I wanted to start the Cruel Prince series. Now, I'm not sure which one's the first one. So we've got, I think the Cruel Prince is the first one. I think it goes Cruel Prince. I think it's Cruel Prince, Wicked King, and then Queen of Nothing. Okay, and they're all by Holly Black, these three. So I did choose those. I've got to figure out, of course, which one's the first one. But for some reason, I think this one is, this one's the first one. So that would, and it is the longest one of the three of them. So I might only read the first one. So that's possible, is that I might just read the first one, go on to some of the other ones, and then, if I get the others finished, then I'll potentially go back to these ones. But we'll see, because I've given myself a bit of flexibility where that's concerned. So I put those in as a group, but my intentions were just to read the first one, potentially read the first one. Okay, so that's that. All right, then I have this little one here, which is a kind of cozy mystery. It is the Live and Let Chai by Bree Baker. It's Seaside Cafe Mystery. So this is the first one in the series. I can't remember how many books exactly are in the series. There's quite a few. But this one I thought was really cute. It's a cute little book. I mean, it's 300 and something pages, but it's a pretty easy read. Okay, so I did pick that one. Then I picked the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So it's my romance. I mean, it's a fall book, but I don't read my books based on the season. I've just never been like that, so I don't really care one way or the other. So I thought I'd put that one in there. I don't think it's a lot of pages either. Well, it says 384. I don't think that's right. No, it's 357. Yeah, so not too bad. Pretty good size. But like I said, they're all about the same size. So this one here is a thriller. It's The Girl in 6E, the year's most shocking thriller. I don't know when this was, but someone recommended it. Someone did a review on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. So another thriller to add to the pile. So yeah, part of that readathon. And then there's the two from T. Kingfisher that are they're a series. Okay. Now I think I can potentially combine them for points, but then I can't get the 10 points per book. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to leave these till the end, and if I have a little bit of time to fit them in, because they're pretty quick. They're only 150 pages average. So okay, so that's that. And then last is of the print books are the selects that could potentially get fit in if I have the time, or if I decide I don't want to read something from the other lists. I've got these three. Okay. And the one that I really do want to read is this one. And I know Heat of the Everflame was picked. I just had the two in the poll. And let me say it was really close. Like, we're talking like maybe 2 points off. I don't know, it was a tight race between the two. So I could swap this one for Heat of the Everflame and read this instead. Because the reason that I would like to read this instead of Heat of the Everflame is this finishes the series. Okay? Last book. Heat of the Everflame, the series isn't done. So I don't know that I want to read that until the fourth book comes out. Because then I'll buy the fourth book and I'll read Heat of the Everflame, and then I'll read the fourth book. So Yeah, so that's why I think I want to read this instead. But, you know, it's still a little up in the air. We'll see how I feel when the times come. I mean, this is a chunker, right? Like this is, what did I say this is? 835 pages. But let me tell you, these books read pretty quick, and how much I loved the second book, like loved the second book so much. And I would really like to finish the series. So I may very well do that. So that's why that book is in there. Okay. And then the other one that I picked as a substitute for Love Unwritten is Lights Out. And that's because this is kind of like, this is like a dark stalker romance. And, you know, I mean, I do like to have a romance thrown in, but I know Lauren Asher's romance it's just more of like a regular contemporary romance. This one is like a dark stalker romance. So I'm going to play it by ear based on how I feel at the time. Overall, I mean, size-wise, this one is a little shorter. It's 400 pages, and whereas the Lauren Asher one is like a 600-page book, which to me is insane for a romance. So I might do this one instead, even though the Lauren Asher one is one of my 25 in 2025. It's still going to get read anyway at some point this year. So I might read this instead. We shall see. Okay, and then the last one that I had, that's a possibility that I could slot in as something different, is the follow-up to Red Rising. Now, I read Red Rising last year and didn't love it. I had some issues with it. But I think that the issues that I had, which had to do with his age and the context of the character in the story itself, I think that will work itself out in this book. It will all not be an issue in this book. So everyone has said second book is better. And, you know, it's another, what did I say, 400-page book. So it's just a little over 400 pages. So potentially could read maybe this one. So that's why I put it on the list. Okay, so I have that one. Now, the other thing I said I mentioned is I have 4 books that I've chosen that are from my Kindle Unlimited that are definitely going to get read during this whole process. Like the likelihood is for sure 3 of them, but I have them just listed. Now, 3 of them are romance and 1 is not. You know, you will see in a minute. The likelihood is that I'd read 2 of the romances and the 1 that isn't romance, because 1 is fantasy RPG, lit RPG. So, and I've been dying to read this one. So the likelihood is that I'll read that one. That would be like first, you know, the priority. And then the other 3 are all romance. So then I'll just pick whichever one I feel like reading at the time. So I'm kind of like that with the Kindle Unlimited ones. I don't read them in necessarily any particular order. I read them whatever I feel like reading. So, but first one is The Hero. This is the 3rd one in a series that I've been reading by Susan Stoker. Read a lot of her books. She does sort of romantic suspense, although this series has been a bit more downplayed, not so as suspenseful. But I suspect this 3rd book is going to be a tiny bit different. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. Not a huge book. Kindle says 288 pages, so that one will be pretty quick. The next one I have is a older Lauren Asher one called Throttled. I want to read this. I think this is racing sport. The sport is racing, Formula One, maybe. I think. I don't recall 100%, but I know that that's what it was, and that was why I picked it up. So I do want to read this one. So that one is on the list. And I put it I am putting the covers up here for you so that you can see which books I'm talking about. And then the third romance is Poker Face by Maggie Gates. It was just one I picked up on Kindle Unlimited. Literally, I can't remember anything about it, but I know I mean, when I put something in my Kindle, I always read the synopsis and I think, okay, you know, that sounds like something I want to read. But then I'll put it in Kindle, and by the time I get around to reading it, I don't remember the synopsis, but I just go right into reading it. So that is the another romance that I have in there. And then the last book is Dungeon Crawler Carl. And I have wanted to read this for quite some time. Now, I've been kind of on the fence about buying the series, like, you know, starting to buy the series. So I wanted to see how it will go with the first book. So that one's on the list, and hopefully I will get to that one. So that's actually it. Now, I would suggest that if you really want to participate in the Realmathon, watch Cassidy's video. It's linked below to follow the rules. She's got a document, so like I've got a whole document here that I have printed off. That it's quite extensive. You know, it gives you all of your how you gather points. So what happens is you gather points, and the idea is you want to beat the other teams. There are 4 teams, and you get points for various different prompts. And then at the end, you know, you add up. Now, you can add to your team, or you can take away from the other team. So I guess that really, the advantage is always, the advantage is to add to your team. And that is because you get the page bonus advantage. But if your page bonus is on the lower end, it might be more advantageous to take away from the other team, because you get other bonuses that it can be used to take away from the other team. So anyways, it's all in good fun, and I can't wait to participate. I think it's going to be quite enjoyable. And, you know, that's what I have planned. Now, whether or not I actually read all those books, well, that remains to be seen, because I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I am going to do my best to get through as many as I can in the month of March. And based on how my reading usually goes, I think I'll be able to make a good dent in all those books. We shall see. Wish me luck, and I'll see you in the next video.